know I talk a lot about Republicans using things like the constitutions and their love for the troops and every other jingoistic nonsense reference. They're props for the Republican Party. Respect for the flag. Oh, it's huge. Donald Trump, loving and kissing, molesting the flag on stage. Just gross. Pete Hegseth wearing his violation of the flag code in U.S. code with his little American flag piece of cloth in his pocket, his pocket silk. They act like they respect the flag, but then they also show great reverence and respect for people who fought our troops, people who were fighting under the American flag, were being killed by people fighting under a different flag. And I don't mean the German flag. I don't mean the Nazi flag. I don't mean the Italian flag during World War II. I mean the Confederate flag. Former Americans who had jettisoned any loyalty to the Constitution of the United States, any loyalty to the country, to the nation, the United States, and pledged a new oath, new loyalty to their new country, the Confederate States of America. A lot of talk from Republicans about respecting the troops and also respecting the troops that killed our troops during the Civil War. And Pete Hegseth is among these idiots who wants to go back. We renamed a bunch of our bases that were named after Confederate general traitors to the country who oversaw the killing in battle of American troops. So what's the Republican Party do? This party that loves the flag and loves the troops and the Constitution. What do? Well, they want to rename. They want to go back to renaming those bases like Fort Bragg, AP Hill. They want to go back to naming those bases after Confederate traitors who oversaw the killing of Americans, the wholesale killing of American citizens. And yesterday, Pete Hegseth, among his first remarks as the Secretary of Defense of the military in this country, used the name Fort Bragg rather than Fort Liberty. Watch this. And then we're going to jump in a time machine and talk about exactly who the namesake of Fort Bragg is.
That I'm here, I'm thinking about the guys and gals in Guam, in Germany, in Fort Benning and Fort Bragg, on missile defense sites and aircraft carriers.
Did you hear what the credibly accused rapist said? The man who endangers the country and our national security posture through his inability to get his substance use disorder in check. Did you hear? So let's do, like I earlier mentioned, let's jump in a time machine. Let's go back to June 11th, 2020 on this very channel. I had just barely 100,000 subscribers at the time, and this is something that I've been passionate about and talking about for years. Having served my country in uniform, in the uniform of a United States Marine for years, it bothers me. I take umbrage with the fact that these people who claim they are patriots and love America are doing everything they can to drag us back to a time where white supremacy was the order of the day under color of law. Because otherwise, why show such deference to people who were traitors to America, who oversaw the killing of American troops? Why do that? Unless you liked the lay of the land at the time. Here's me from June 11th, 2020, describing just precisely the naming of Fort Hill, but Fort Bragg. Fort Bragg in North Carolina is named after Confederate General Braxton Bragg. Unfortunately and strangely, when you go to the page that talks about the naming of the base, they only talk about his service as an American general in American conflicts. They don't talk about his traitorous
betrayal of the United States of America. Camp Bragg was named for a native North Carolinian, General Braxton Bragg, for his actions during the Mexican-American War. What they don't tell you is that Bragg resigned from the Army in 1856 to betray the nation that he once served, and was overseeing his Louisiana plantation because he was an owner. He was an enslaver of human beings. He owned many, many humans. And after a series of defeats at the hands of the Americans, because he wasn't an American anymore, he betrayed his country. After a series of defeats at the hands of the Americans, he went to Richmond to advise the Confederate president and traitor, Jefferson Davis. So why don't we just rename this base Fort Saddam Hussein? That's part of the great American heritage. Why are we naming our military installations after enemies? It doesn't make any sense.
It didn't make sense then. It doesn't make sense now. Other than they're signaling to racists, to white supremacists, to neo-Nazis, to Confederate ophiles. People who still continue after all of these years to say it's heritage, not hate. Who believe the myth of the lost cause, who don't subscribe to the reality of what the war was about, which was ending slavery. People who are so dedicated to the prospect of owning human beings as property that they fought a war, that they killed Americans, that they betrayed their nation. But why would we be surprised by this or shocked by this? We should not be, because Donald Trump himself betrayed the nation, attempted to overthrow the United States government in a similar manner to the attitudes and actions of the Confederacy in the years leading up to the Civil War. They're all Confederates. They're all traitors. They all fundamentally despise America and our values and the aspirational admonitions within the Constitution. Yeah, are we flawed? Yes. Wildly flawed. Do we have a dark history of oppression? Yes. Are we still oppressing marginalized groups? Visiting horrors upon people? Yes. This is why we should all remain in the fight. Look, are things bad for me? No. I could just as easily find something else to talk about or go get some kind of a traditional job and be fine. I do this to be a voice for the voiceless. You should do something similar, to be a voice for the voiceless, to use whatever privilege or power you have to stop this kind of attitude from promulgating. And now we have a Secretary of Defense. I mean, this is a small thing in the pantheon of the dangers that he poses. But it speaks to his mindset and his attitude and the indefensible thing that he is willing to stand in the gap for to defend. Not transgender people, not gay people or women in the military. No. He's not going to do anything about that. But it's a hill he's going to die on, that we need to go back and rename bases after Confederate traitors. And often, some of these guys were just feckless idiots, terrible at their jobs. Which, maybe that's why they love him so much. It seems familiar to Pete Hegseth that, oh yeah, that guy was bad at his job too. Fantastic. I like the cut of his jib. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me the old-fashioned way, daily@dollemore.com. If I am your independent media of choice, I would ask that you help support this work, help me produce these videos for $1.99. You can click the join button below, wherever that is over here, I believe, and see what's involved. Become a channel member. You can also go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. I am on the social media just about everywhere at Dollemore. I'm not active on the Nazified ones, but everywhere else at Dollemore. I'd love to see you there. And I will see you next time. Hope that little run down memory lane was good for you. A little different now, right? Less fat, more gray. A lot's gone on in almost 5 years. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Be genuine and take care of one another.